Chat, they flagged my video, man. They flagged my video with Andrew Tate. Hold on, let me see if I can find it so I can show y'all. Flag my shit, man. Is this considered the Matrix is attacking? Hey, yo, chat, listen, go follow me on IG at Pac-Man Live with 2 E's, man. Go follow me on Rumble at PAC203 on Rumble, man. Go follow my Rumble. Don't go watch. Go follow me on Rumble. I put up the stuff that I can't put up here. I put it on Rumble. Go follow me on Rumble. And make sure y'all subscribe. Y'all be subscribing, man. I want to get into this video, man. It's about depression. Andrew T, how it looks on depression, because I'm gonna tell y'all something. When we get into this video, man. I'm gonna spell out my beliefs and some stuff I have went through and what helped me. But let's get into this video.
Look, if you work a 9 to 5, you actually sell something, whether you know it or not. You sell your time. And the reason it's a problem is because they build wealth. You want to go travel and buy cool cars and do all the cool stuff, or maybe just take care of.
Ask you about what do you believe about depression? Do you believe depression is a real thing?
I believe that feeling depressed is real. I don't believe depression as a clinical disease is real, no.
Yo, go subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. But like Tate saying, I kind of feel this. I think feeling sad is real, but being depressed is just some word they made up to make you go and get medicine and go spend all your money at some people that can't cure. The depression is uncurable. If that's the case, it's uncurable. You keep going back, you wasting your money, you waste your time. No, don't believe in that, man.
Really?
Correct.
You don't believe people can be clinically depressed?
I think PTSD is very real. Unfortunately, I have some friends who suffer from that. I know that feeling depressed is real. I believe that the number one power you have against these things are trying to take control of your own mind and affecting your own life. I believe that it's not healthy to hand over all your power and believe that depression is an outside disease that you can't affect. I know that when I've had difficult periods in my life, and also many of my friends, like I've said, suffered from PTSD and been through terrible things. I've lived a very difficult life, and I know people who have, that the things that made them feel better is when they woke up and said, you know what, I'm not going to allow this to damage me anymore. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to get up and I'm going to fight this as hard as I can.
And by the way, on that, I agree.
So we agree.
Right? My favorite speech is the Rocky Balboa one.
Okay, so then we agree.
No,
we didn't.
Here's where we don't agree.
Pierce.
You don't. No, hang on. You've got to let me interject when I don't agree with you, right? Where I don't agree with you is that there's no such thing as clinical depression. There absolutely is.
Well,
it's a proven.
No, it's not. It's not proven. Who made this up?
Scientific medical reality. There's a different argument about have we gone a bit too soft, right, in schools and all the rest of it. Absolutely. Yeah.
This is a fact. Listen, depression is only a modern world thing. Like, this is only a modern day country. They don't have this over in Africa and like in India and South America. They don't have that over there. Like, all these depressed people, all these people being super sad, people are just grateful to eat or get some water. And y'all over here sad because you got out of a relationship. You still got running water? You still got a roof over your head? Even the people that are still going through stuff. Let me tell you something. Listen, man. A couple weeks ago, I lost my job. I got fired, and I was sad. I got in my car. I'm like, damn, sad. And you know what I did? I drove right to the gym. I usually go to the gym after work. I drove right to the gym, and I worked out on core that day. I did my stomach. I ran 3 miles, man. And after I got out there, I got up here and I started streaming. And working out is probably like one of the best medicines ever. Cause while I was working out, I'm just thinking like, yo, these people got me fucked up. They got me fucked up, man. I'm better than them. I'm better than that. They treat me like trash. I'm better than them. I'm better than that. I'm gonna come back even harder. And that's why I be streaming today. People got me fucked up, man. I know people get sad. People go through breakups. People lose their jobs. People parents die and stuff like that. This is stuff like everybody goes through. Everybody goes through breakups. Everybody, people, parents, family die. People lose their jobs regularly. The best thing you do is get put yourself up by your bootstraps, man, and keep it pushing. Try to make the best endeavors, the best the next move, your best move. Gotta level up, man. Put yourself in a position where they can't fuck with you no more. And if they do, you got all your ducks in orders. Invest your money, man. Get in the gym. I'm telling you, get in the gym. The gym is the best medicine, anything, for anything, bro. Stress, being sad, all of that. And one, your girl, you get in the gym, get big, get a better job. Your mom died, get in the gym. Level up, make her proud. I'd be out here talking, crying about smoking. Listen, stop. I don't want to see nobody moral old Migos smoking vape. For real. Tired of you vape motherfuckers.
I think some people moan and whine too much about their lot in life.
Too much,
definitely.
Okay.
Are we a victimhood society? 100%.
Okay.
Is there such a thing as clinical depression? Absolutely.
So,
and my argument is that if you actually bracket everybody who's not clinically depressed and doesn't have the genuine medical condition, then actually if millions of people are deemed to have depression, the ones who really need the help don't get it. Well, that's my point.
Well, that I would agree with. You're right. I think it's certainly an overused term.
You don't accept there is such a thing as clinical depression.
No, I don't.
And that to me is a damaging view.
Okay. Well, let me explain why. If someone comes to me and says I'm clinically depressed or I feel very, very sad, I would say the first thing you need to do is stop accepting the identity of a clinically depressed person. Stop accepting you have no control over this. And what you need to do is stop identifying that way, and let's work together to try and fight against it.
There isn't an eminent doctor in the world who would tell you there is no such thing as clinical depression. Who would not tell you that some people is simply beyond their control.
Johan Hari wrote a book saying exactly that, my friend.
He's not an eminent doctor.
No, but
he's a journalist.
I said depression wasn't real long ago and was attacked for it. Then Johan Hari wrote a book, which
What's
actually...
What's going to do with Johan Hari?
Because he wrote a book proving me right. Most people...
Johan Hari is a journalist.
Sure. And my point is that a lot of people who are clinically depressed are suffering with something in their life, and if you fix the problem in their life, perhaps they won't feel depressed anymore. No, but that's not a disease.
Yeah, but Andrew,
hold on, chat. I'm back, man. Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all, man. Hey, watch my live streams, man. I'm a father first. I don't get weekends out being a hoe.
That's situational.
Andrew, you're simply wrong.
If that's what you believe, Piers.
It's what I believe.
I don't believe in things that take power away.
There is not an eminent doctor in the world
Piers
that would agree with you.
Piers,
I think you know more than doctors.
I can't become clinically depressed.
You think you know more than doctors? That's all he. Get help. Seek help. Seek help. Seek help.
Why do you know?
Because I don't believe in it. I can't be haunted by a ghost if I don't believe in ghosts.
Listen, man. 9 times out of 10, you know what to do before you even go and consult somebody. Why would you go to the doctors if you got a headache? Why don't you just go get some ibuprofen or go take a nap, drink some water, eat. Probably that's why you got a headache. Oh, you got short breath. Oh, you don't have as much energy. Maybe you should eat a little healthier. You should exercise more. You know this. Why are you gonna go to a doctor and then tell you the same shit you already know? Stop giving these people so much power. Take the power in your own hands.
I'm saying I'm never going to die because I don't believe in it. It's ridiculous.
Perhaps, but if it allows me to live a life where I feel happy and
But here's
content
where you
within myself.
this is that little area where you lose me.
No, I don't lose you.
You are,
because
because somebody with your following
the
says there is no
thousands
such
of
thing.
people, the thousands of people who have emailed me saying my doctor told me I was clinically depressed and it's a disease that I have got in my brain and I can't be fixed. And I started listening to you and I realized that that's not the case and I can fix my own life. And you're the only person who has ever helped me.
Oh, Andrew.
Thousands of people have
Andrew,
emailed me that
if you
exact
think-
email.
If you think you are single-handedly curing people of clinical depression, you are living in cloud cuckoo land.
I am reading the emails of people who I have cured of clinical depression.
You're reading it.
See this man neck, man. When I would get his age, I ain't trying to be like that. Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
Emails from people who have believed you when you say there isn't.
Got a
such
turkey
thing,
neck.
and they've probably never been diagnosed clinically depressed. They just want to go along with what Andrew Tate says.
I don't think so.
I think your view of that view is dangerous.
I respect that you think my view is dangerous, and I respect you have the right to view that, to think that. I think that clinical depression, I actually agree with you, is massively overdiagnosed. I've already said that PTSD is a very real thing. I've already said.
I didn't. No, hang on.
Okay.
Again, you're misquoting me. I did not say clinical depression is massively overdiagnosed.
Definitely is.
I said
Definitely
that
is.
people who claim to be depressed but don't have clinical depression, I think that is massively overblown, right? In other words, there are a lot of people who just have a bad day and declare, I've got depression.
Yeah.
And I
Hold on, chat. Hold on. We're gonna look at this. You see this chat, right? So he's saying depression, heart disease, cancer, cardiac, lower respiratory disease, stroke, diabetes, Alzheimer's, suicide. This will all be fixed by working out. All of this. All of that.
I say, well, have you been to a doctor? Have you been clinically diagnosed? If you have, and you have clinical depression, that's one thing. But if you haven't, we can probably work on some mental strength and resilience skills with you. But a clinically depressed person has an absolutely proven medical condition that is beyond their control.
Not according to me and many others, my friend.
Well, look, what do you know about it, honestly?
I know.
You're not a doctor, are you? Not trained, are you?
I'm not a doctor.
You're not a psychiatrist. You're none of those things.
Sure.
You're a guy on the make who's done very well for himself, spouting stuff off, much of which I agree with, as you've seen in the interview, but some of which is ludicrous, and that's one of them.
It's not ludicrous.
It is.
It's not.
If you said to me, we're in a victimhood society has got to stop, I'm with you.
Okay.
At the moment you try and deny clinical depression.
I believe feeling depressed is real.
He must
I
have
do not
depression.
believe it's a
He must have depression. It's the only way it makes sense. He must have depression, man. Listen, for all you people that feel sad or say y'all have depression, man, I'm here for y'all, man. And my best advice is, man, put yourself up by your bootstraps, man. Get in the gym. I tell you, it's the best medicine, man. I was down. I've been broken up with. My family done died. I done been like, Just get in the gym, man. I'm telling you, ain't nothing gonna change your life like you going to the gym for months on end to get a six pack. Ain't nothing gonna change your life like that. All the hard work, all the hurt, the pain you gotta go through just to get a six pack, and you're gonna love yourself at the end. Ain't no way you're gonna delete yourself. You listen to this man, Piers Morgan. It's your downfall, man. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, man.
Disease that you catch from the sky and you cannot affect. I believe that no matter what happens, I believe you have control of your own mind and you can fight against it. I believe if you change your circumstances in your life, you may feel different. I'll give you a quick example. I had a guy who emailed me saying he was clinically depressed and he was going to kill himself. I obviously am not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor. I told him, because I replied to my emails. I said, have you been to a psychiatrist? He said, yes, I'm clinically depressed. I've been on these pills, this amount of time. I'm on antidepressants. It doesn't work. I said, I don't know what to say to you besides this. And he said he lost his girlfriend. That's why I became clinically depressed. I said, listen, go to the gym, get a six pack first. Once you've got a six pack, email me again. If you still feel like killing yourself, I don't know what else to say to you. I'd say strong body is a strong mind. Go train. He went, he started sending me progress pictures, emailing me him getting in better shape. And eventually got a six pack. He's now a professional bodybuilder. And he said, I can't believe I was considering that. I feel so much better, etc. The doctor was telling him he was clinically depressed and couldn't cure it. He started taking control of his own life, and now he felt better. Now, I'm not saying it's the case for everybody. No. I'm just saying.
Here's my question, though. Have you seen the guy's medical records?
Of course not. I just told you the story.
So you're just taking his word for it?
I am taking the words of a man who emailed me with a bunch of medication and specific doses.
You're denying proven science because one guy writes to you who you help, and you've not seen any evidence he ever had clinical depression diagnosed.
I'm denying the idea that...
And on the back of it, you go on your rants in public to tens of millions of people denying something.
Yo, what does it mean? You got to see his medical history to know that he's sad. He's sad because he broke up. Most people be depressed because of relationships. First of all, the relationship, death, they lose their job, or they go through trauma in their life, which is PTSD. That's not a form of technically, but that. It can only be fixed by discipline. That's what the gym does. It instills discipline on you.
Something because this guy writes to you and says he had it and you cured him. And I think that's a dangerous mindset, Andrew.
That's fine.
And that's where you don't have a responsible view of your influence over
Disagree. People. It's very responsible because I'm saving people's lives. I disagree that if you feel depressed, I disagree that you cannot affect it and change your life and take control and fix yourself and feel happier. I disagree with that.
Do you think
I refuse to accept that there are people out there who cannot become happy, contented individuals. I refuse to accept we live in a world where God has created people who, no matter how hard they work and how good their life becomes, can't be happy. I don't accept that. I accept that the universe is a very giving place and that God loves all of us. And if you try your best and you work hard, you can become a better person. And I also will argue with you, and I'll counter the point that you sitting here on your platform telling people they have clinical depression, there's nothing they can do about it, is far more dangerous. Okay, well then, if they have clinical depression...
Why do you misquote me?
No, because you're saying...
Exactly what he said. That's exactly what he said.
He misquotes.
No.
Of a doctor and they get diagnosed and they get help.
Then I would argue the point that
somebody... the opposite of what you just said, I said.
I would argue the point that if somebody has depression of any kind, whether it's clinical, whether it exists or not, whether they feel depressed or not, whatever, that taking control of their life, taking personal responsibility and working hard is always going to be the positive, best thing they can possibly do for their life going forward.
How positive is it?
So sitting here saying, I don't believe in clinical depression, you don't believe in depression. No, I don't. I believe that people can take control and fight against things. Right. I believe in personal sovereignty.
Right. Fine.
Good. So we agree.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
Piers, you're on my side. You're afraid of being canceled along with me.
As I said to you from the start,
that's all
I agree with a lot of what you say.
Completely. So
I'm taking you to task over the stuff I don't agree with.
Sure.
And I'm just not sure you understand why it's wrong, which is in itself quite revealing.
Yeah, how y'all feel about that, man? I stand with Tito on that one. What y'all want to watch next, man? What y'all want to watch next? I think I got something for y'all, man. Let's get into this. This is Jordan Peterson, man.
Well, clinical psychologist Dr. Jordan Peterson is one of the world's most famous and fascinating intellectuals. His books are instant bestsellers. Tens of millions watch him online. In fact, his last interview on Piers Morgan Uncensored has so far been viewed more than 17 million times. And I'm delighted to say that he joins me again now. Jordan, great to have you back on the program.
Well, thanks, Piers. It's good to see you again.
I was absolutely astonished, really. Maybe I shouldn't have been, but by the reaction to our last interview worldwide. The sheer volume of people that watched the whole interview, the way the...
Yo, if he's talking about the free speech interview, yeah, go look at that, man. Jordan Peterson, he speaks kind of the same message as tape, but he gets it across a little bit differently.
Clips were disseminated on TikTok, on Facebook, on Twitter. It was a really interesting insight, actually, into a whole world that doesn't even involve, actually, conventional television anymore. I guess you wouldn't be surprised because this happens to you a lot, but I was. What does it say about society that number of people watch an interview on a computer or phone?
Well, I'm still continually surprised about it, but I think what it shows is that there's really no way that legacy TV in some real sense can compete with the absolutely wide open frontier of online video distribution where the cost is low and people can access it everywhere. It's fundamentally the consequence of a technological revolution. And there's all sorts of good things about that. And one of those would be the ability to widely disperse complex and sophisticated information, which YouTube has been particularly good at in the long form, but it's also problematic in that it produces all sorts of alterations in social behavior that we're only, and some of them very dangerous, many of which we're only just beginning to understand.
Right. Elon Musk has just bought Twitter and it's creating a huge furore.
Yo, chat, he talking to everybody about Elon Musk. He wants somebody up here to talk bad about Elon Musk. That's exactly what he wants. Elon Musk could do whatever he want with his website, whatever he want with his website, whatever he want with his empire. He's the boss. And if you want to be on his platform, you do what the fuck he says.
Obviously in many different ways, and he's admitted, I'm going to do lots of things in the next few months and we're going to get some wrong and we're going to pull them and try something else. He's going to try and work out a way of making it a sustainable business model, but also he wants to bring back what he perceives to be genuine free speech on the platform. Is it possible, Jordan, do you think, that he can do that, or are we now so entrenched in tribalism, particularly on social media, that it's almost impossible to do what he wants to do?
Well, you couldn't have picked a better day to talk about this with me because I just got a paper sent to me today by Jonathan Haidt. He didn't write the paper. It will be published. It's published in a journal called Personality and Individual Differences, and it's an examination of the personality traits associated with, let's say, excessive and self-promoting internet usage. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read you a couple of the descriptions of what the people found, because it's so absolutely spot on and relevant. I don't think we are descending into tribalism. I think what's happening is that the virtualization of the world is enabling people who behave in a particular antisocial way, in a self-grandizing and self-promoting antisocial way. And I'll just read you the descriptions that are taken directly from this paper. So it was an actual study of online behavior. Women characterized by high self-centered antagonism, neurotic narcissism, Machiavellian views, Machiavellian tactics, so that's manipulativeness, meanness, disinhibition, physical sadism, and indirect sadism used Instagram for a longer time and more frequently than did men. In women, verbal sadism and emotionality was associated with longer, while honesty, humility, and conscientiousness was with a shorter Facebook usage time. Furthermore, women high in agentic extroversion, so that's manipulative self-promotion, and indirect sadism used Facebook for a longer time and more frequently than men.
That's the propaganda they use to push women against men. This is exactly why you got all these Instagram models, these thoughts posting, they post their OnlyFans, they wearing skimpy shit, they talking about fuck guys, there's no real men out here, they're more into materialistic stuff, they're in all reality, like, they're worshiping Satan. I ain't even gonna lie. Satan is a snake. He's a snake. He transforms into anything. He can transform to get what he wants. So if he gotta come into this character as in the internet to promote this thing for these women to yourself and to be degenerate, that's exactly what he does. Degeneracy, bro. Fucking.
And so I've thought for a while that one of the things that's happening to us as we virtualize the world is that we're enabling the small percentage of people, it's usually about 3% in general populations, who use manipulation and reputation savaging and denigration and self-promotion. So the genuinely psychopathic types to dominate the social conversation and to spew their poisonous and manipulative venom into the public domain, not only with no fear of being stopped and no inhibition, which is almost all applied socially, but also while being monetized and promoted by the people who run the social media channels. And every society forever has had to contend with a small percentage of people who will utilize all the benefits of society only for themselves. They had to contend with the fact that those people, if not brought under control, can demolish the structure of the entire society. And I think the polarization that we're feeling is a consequence of their untrammeled expression online, Instagram, Facebook, and in online comment forums like Twitter.
But that stuff you read out just seemed to be gender specific to women. Presumably, it also applies in other ways to men as well.
No, it don't.
Media. Oh yeah, well I think the reason that it applied in this study in women is because Instagram is very heavy image use. It involves heavy use of images, and there are reasons to assume that because of that, it attracts women who are directed towards short-term impulsive mating strategies, and that's another sign of impulsive, antisocial, and psychopathic behavior. I think you'd see the same thing in men. In fact, I've been talking to psychologists, great psychologists, to make sure that I'm on the right track here about those who post repeatedly, say, in online forums, especially in relationship to comments, and you certainly see that same pattern of sadism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and narcissism characterizing the men who are also incentivized to use what used to be classic female antisocial strategies to advance themselves in the reputational hierarchy.
But the bottom line
exploiters, fundamentally.
Right, but the bottom line is that there is a small percentage of people generating a vast amount of noise. What impact is that happening on society, do you think?
Well, I think it skews our perceptions of what normal people are like. We assume that what we're getting, when you sample the world, when you're walking through it, you make the assumption that you're getting an unbiased representation of the things going on around you. And when you're on an online platform and, say, reading comments, you also have the assumption that what you're seeing is something like a sample of public opinion. But it's not, because if 10 strangers came up to you randomly in the street, then you'd have a bit of a sample of what people randomly think. But behavior online isn't random, and the people who post aren't precisely normal. And I have been talking with Jonathan Haidt and Jean Twenge.
Listening to this chat, this is a fact. Just imagine when people put WAP in their caption and stuff like that. That's promoting degeneracy, that's promoting Satanist behavior. That shit is just crazy. Or when they be no broke guys or no broke niggas, when they do shit like that, or guys are hoes, bitches, and shit like that. These are the type of people y'all don't want to talk to. Y'all don't want to date. You don't want to like their pictures. You don't want to do nothing like that. But fundamentally, they don't respect you and they don't respect themselves. So this is just common sense what he's talking, bro. This is common sense.
About this, and I think they might know more about it than anybody else in the world. And it's pretty clear that the people who are dominating, say, online comment sections, and I would especially say this is true of the people who post anonymously, and there's other markers for this sort of behavior as well, they dominate the political discourse. And what's happening in some sense is that we have a new form of pollution. that's also corporate sponsored, and it's pollution of the domain of public discourse. And the pollution occurs because the social media companies are either enabling or failing to control, those known in the popular parlance as trolls, but they're not just comical trolls, using derision in some cute way and having their say in the free speech domain. They're really poisonous individuals, and they're poisoning the entire domain of discourse.
So what can Elon Musk do?
Starting...
What can Elon Musk do about it?
Yeah.
You think? If you were advising him on this, I mean, ironically, at the moment you're not on Twitter. Do you want to come back now that Musk is in charge? Do you think you should be restored? Do you want to be back on Twitter? And secondly, what would you advise him to do about this issue of the trolls and so on?
Well, the first thing I would advise, and I'm going to be advising the political people I'll be talking to over the next few weeks of precisely this, and I have talked it over with Twenge and Haidt to make sure that I'm not, like I said, off on a personal tangent. I would say there's no excuse for including the anonymous posters with the real human beings. And I think that social media platforms who have a certain reach, maybe it's 1 million subscribers, and I don't really know what figure is appropriate, should be required to implement know your customer laws. And then that the people who are posting, who are genuine, verified human beings, willing to abide by their words with their personal reputation, should be put in one comment section. And then the online, anonymous, cowardly, narcissistic, pathological troll demons who are polluting the public discourse should be put in a different comment section. And if you want to go to hell and visit the troll demons and see what they have to spew, you can. But otherwise, you can be among the normal humans.
Yeah, I get what he's saying. You get what he's saying? The famous people that are famous or that have the blue check or whatever like that should be held to a different standard. They'd be held to a different standard. Away from the troll demons. If you do the troll demons like that don't have no face and stuff like that, I think you should get rid of them. They finna just come here and comment and spam people's shit. Get rid of them. But they should be held to a different standard. So no spewing, no hate, no talking about WAP, no talking about fuck hoes, no talking about them niggas over there, fuck them. It's it's none of that. Be respectful, higher standard.
Human beings engaged in normal civil human discourse, and that would separate the bloody psychopaths from the bulk of decent normal people. And 97% of people aren't psychopathic.
Yeah.
And so we are talking about a small minority here, but they have the upper hand. See, there's a percentage of people who
I had a psychopath test done on me, actually, a lengthy questionnaire, and they concluded I was a good psychopath.
What the fuck?
And what did they mean by that exactly?
Apparently, I wasn't like the malevolent version. It was slightly lost on me, the nuance.
Okay, well, okay, look. It's often the case that people in the industry that you're in, and this would be true for politics and journalism as well, anything with a public face, are more likely to be extroverted and also more likely to be somewhat disagreeable. And those personality traits can tilt you towards what would you say, a style of callous exploitation. But there are other personality factors that mediate against that, like conscientiousness. And so people who are hardworking and reliable, for example, aren't parasitic in the same way that a classic psychopath would be. And so it's complicated. And it isn't the case that extroversion and even a certain degree of disagreeableness in and of themselves are dangerous, but they lead. Like everybody's led to temptation in the direction that's in accordance with their temperament. And the fact that you are a public facing person and that you like that would tilt you in one direction of potential temptation, but that's not necessarily diagnostic. Now, it is a problem because it probably is the case that politics and journalism and entertainment attract a disproportionate number of Machiavellians and psychopaths because of the status that goes along with those enterprises.
Yeah.
But it's not diagnostic. It doesn't mean that if you're in that industry, and you've had a long career, and that's also another marker for failure or for lack of psychopathy, because in the normal world, psychopaths exploit and they get a reputation for doing so quite quickly. And then people avoid them and stop working with them. And so it doesn't work over the medium to long run as a general rule.
Yeah, I get it. Last time we spoke at length, you said afterwards we forgot to get round to Donald Trump. and you were quite keen to talk about Donald Trump. So we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, I do want to talk about Trump, because the big question right now in America is Trump done? So we'll talk about that after the break.
Raise your hand if you've ever been called crazy.
I don't think that men can control crazy women.
Can't. They definitely can't.
Welcome back to Opinions Look Uncensored. I'm still here with Dr. Jordan Peterson, my special guest tonight. Jordan, Donald Trump, what is he? Is he a narcissist, a sociopath, a psychopath? All of those things? None of them?
I don't think that he's a psychopath, because he's been successful in repeated enterprises over long periods of time, and he has a variety of people who remain intensely loyal to him. Now, he's definitely extroverted to a very great degree, and he's definitely disagreeable. And so that gives him some of the traits that are associated with those personality features. But from what I've been able to understand, he's also very conscientious and hardworking, for example. And so that's a real mitigating factor. And so I think it's very easy to demonize someone that you don't approve of, let's say, and certainly Trump has been subject, I would say, to more demonization than any political leader in the West that I can remember in my entire lifetime, including Richard Nixon. And so that's also set him back on his heels and made him.
Who y'all voting for? Y'all voting for Trump, man? Hey, yo, Trump. I think they said Trump or DeSantis or something like that.
Somewhat embattled and defensive, which I don't think did any great things for his personality in some real sense. So I think it's a mistake to assume that Trump is a psychopath. I think it's a big mistake. I think it's a big mistake to assume that Putin is a psychopath. It's easy to do that, but I don't think the evidence suggests that. You don't want to throw those labels around casually. And, you know, if Trump was psychopathic, well, he did a pretty good job of keeping the United States clear of war for 4 years. That's pretty damn remarkable. And he did have a big hand in promoting the Abraham Peace Accords, and that was pretty remarkable. And those aren't the sorts of things that you would expect.
W. Donald Trump in the
chat. He also
chat.
seems to have a pretty good hand with the working class. So I don't think it's those are reasonable diagnostic labels.
You're sounding like I wouldn't say
place on someone.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you sound like you're a bit of a fan of Donald Trump. Would you like him to run again? Would it be good for America, do you think?
Hey, yo, chat. Let me do this real quick.
No, I don't think it would be good for America. Would it be good for him to run? That's a difficult question, because it might be that it would be good for America to have whether or not Donald Trump should be president sorted out in the public sphere, debated intensely, and subject to an election. So it might be very interesting to see him put himself forward on the Republican ticket. If I had my druthers, and I say this, I hope with due care, I would rather see someone like DeSantis step forward, who shares some of that fourth.
I just said this, yo. They're everybody's saying this. Listen, if Trump runs while DeSantis is running, the majority people like Trump as his character, but people are going towards DeSantis, are fighting with DeSantis. Like, I am not gonna Trump is he has great leadership skills. He's great leadership skills. He says what he wants. He keeps it real. That's why I think a lot of people agree with him. And it shows Joe Biden is the worst president we done ever had. Ever. Worst president we done ever had. He drove the gap between middle class and the rich far higher than anybody. He as soon as he get in, he raised gas prices. How you raise gas prices? He cut off the pipeline, destroys the pipeline. And if y'all don't believe me, man, watch Robert Kiyosaki talk about it. I'm telling y'all. I believe he destroyed the was it the Keystone pipeline? Terrible. He's the worst president, the most unlike president we ever had too. But
right strength, let's say, that characterizes Trump at his best, but seems to be a more cautious administrator and a less divisive figure. I think that would be better because Trump, for whatever virtues he might have, and I think he has the virtues of a Washington outsider, I think that's quite clear. I think that his behavior in the political realm raises the political temperature to a dangerous degree.
Yeah.
And, I say that while trying to give the devil his due and not casting careless aspersions on his name.
Yeah, no, exactly. I want to turn to somebody else who may well have presidential ambitions and has been the subject of a lot of negativity. Meghan Markle, Prince Harry's wife, who does this podcast.
Yo, this girl right here is slow. Slow. I mean, like, special ed.
Well, podcast, or Archetypes, it's called, in which she seems to perennially play the victim, the female victim of all outrages. And your name got dragged into this.
Dude, always.
Let's take a
That's
listen
slow,
to
bro.
what she
Low
said.
IQ.
Raise your hand if you've ever been called crazy or hysterical. Or what about nuts, insane, out of your mind, completely irrational?
I don't think that men can control crazy women.
The use of these labels has been drilled into us from movies and TV, from friends and family, and even from random strangers. And the fact is, no one wants this label.
What did you make of that, Jordan, to be suddenly appearing on Meghan Markle's podcast as a villain?
The first thing I make
calling
of
women crazy
is that the first thing I make of it is that her voice drips with the same falsehood that the voice of Kamala Harris drips with. It's this sanctimonious, faux compassionate, talking down to her audience and trying to be sure that we're all really on the same compassionate page here.
No, we're
We're
not.
all being victimized by terrible forces that are arrayed against us, and none of that's really fair.
Yo, I think she believed that like this ideology like of women like they're being victimized or something like that. Like that's like total low IQ. Like, yo, chat, this shit is crazy. This shit's crazy, chat.
And it just grates on me. And I do believe you played a bit of a clip from me when I was talking to Camille Paglia, the literary critic. And I do believe that it is the case that it's very difficult to control female antisocial behavior, often of the type that's being pilloried as hysterical. And I think that there's no shortage of clinical evidence to support precisely that claim. It's very difficult for women to control female antisocial behavior, and females who are antisocial, that feminine pattern is reputation savaging under the guise of compassionate care. And it's extraordinarily destructive. And so I stand by my words.
Absolutely.
And I do think it scales online, because you can use an anonymous reputation savaging to unbelievably great effect online with absolutely no punishment for your sins, so to speak. And that is certainly one of the things that's contributing to so-called cancel culture. And there's no shortage of that coming from the female side. Now,
W. Jordan Peterson in the chat, man.
men can engage in exactly the same strategies, and they do so online, and that's enabled. But it's definitely, see, with men, and I've said this before, and I do believe this to be the case, the ever-present threat of the potential for physical violence keeps men from doing that to each other most of the time in person. And that all disappears online. And that means that those who are prone to do such things, to use corrosive and denigrating derision, for example, and reputation savaging can have a free hand at it. And that includes no shortage of women. And women are often, very, very often, the targets of that behavior from their own fellows, so to speak.
We've talked about Trump and Meghan Markle. I wanted to just ask you again about Elon Musk, about what you thought of him as a character. He seems to me a fascinating individual. You know, whether he's slightly on the spectrum or I'm not sure what his makeup is psychologically, but he's certainly a creative genius, a whirlwind, a life force who's done remarkable things. What do you make of it?
Well, I know people who know him very well and have worked with him very closely, and these are very solid people.
Hey, yo, chat. This how you want to be. You want to be so different or so innovative that they can't put a pin on you. Like they don't know where you stand on the spectrum. So it's a thing about, like, I say geniuses or inventors, or so to speak, like, are very wealthy or very smart. Like, you know how the ocean has a tide. The ocean has a tide, and the inventor or the geniuses or the innovators go against the tide. I always say it, they go against the tide. They're new. They when people walk, when their friends walking down the street, they walk up the street. They're different. They don't go with the different. They're leaders. You get what I'm trying to say? And then they're gonna talk about you're crazy. Then they're gonna call you crazy.
Extremely
That's basically what he wanted to say.
extremely creative, and they're admirers of Musk. I talked with my brother-in-law, Jim Keller, who's one of the world's great chip engineers, and he worked very closely with Musk for years. And he believes that he's in many ways exactly what you'd think he was. He's a genius, but he's also like a visionary genius, but he's also someone who's very, very good at implementing, very good at running companies, as you can tell, because he has a multitude of impossible successful companies.
Yes.
And so he goes into a company and he cleans house and puts things in order and makes things work efficiently. And maybe he can do that with Twitter. I hope he can, because Musk is doing all sorts of things that appear to be useful and difficult, and it would be a catastrophe to see him derailed in his efforts. And I think he's
Would you like to be back on Twitter
with Twitter.
Would you like to be back on Twitter?
You know, I dipped into Twitter this morning when I was looking at some of the research that I just shared with you, and it instantly struck me the same way it struck me the last time I was on Twitter. It's such a den of pathology that using it, I think, is psychologically damaging. And if it's possible for Musk to get the trolls, and they're not trolls, they're psychopathic, Machiavellian, sadistic narcissists under control, then it's possible that the platform might be useful. I like to share information on it. I like to follow people to see what they were up to, a lot of the people that I've met over the years. But man, it's a snake pit.
It is.
It isn't obvious to me that we know what to do about it.
Before I let you go, Jordan, you're wearing a poppy. I'm wearing a poppy. We're about to have a debate after the break about whether people should be compelled to wear poppies. And I guess this goes to the wider thing about general displays of, I guess, signaling your virtue in any way that you choose. Should anyone be compelled to, whatever the cause, whether it's a black square on Instagram when George Floyd died, or a poppy for Armistice Day, or so on? Should people ever be compelled?
I think that compulsion, especially in matters of public policy, is a sign of bad policy. If you can't get people on board voluntarily by motivating them with the proper story, then you're a poor leader. And so I certainly would be opposed to anything approximating legal compulsion. Now, we use social compulsion frequently to produce consensus, let's say, and to enforce it. And that's never going to go away. And there's some utility in that. But my general take on the world is that people should be allowed to go to hell in a handbasket pretty much any way they choose once they're adults, although they might be encouraged not to do that and invited not to do that. But I'm not a fan of compulsion for any reason. I think it is a sign of bad policy. If you and I can't play together voluntarily, then we don't have a very good relationship, and it's not going to be efficient and productive. It's going to require force to continue. And
I will take that analysis to commence our debate. Dr. Jordan Peterson, as always, fascinating. Thank you very much indeed for joining me.
How y'all feel about Jordan Peterson, man, on Trump? How y'all feel about Elon Musk? It's a lot to take in, man. It's a lot to take in. Get into the next video. Chat, look. So girls, Fresh and Fit asks Instagram, asks girls Instagram on long-term relationship. I guarantee you, probably 2 of them will say relationship.
Girl,
Yeah.
you sure?
Yeah.
Average guy though.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you?
Yeah, same thing.
Average guy, 5'8",
They're all
50K per
they're
year.
all gonna say
Two.
long-term boyfriend.
Okay. Let's see.
Instagram.
Okay.
What?
Instagram.
Instagram. Okay.
had to think about it.
Instagram. Okay.
Oh, Jadian's getting red pill right now.
Okay. What about you?
That's
Probably
it.
Instagram.
What the fuck?
All right. What about you?
Come on, main character.
I would say long-term boyfriend.
Thank you. Okay, you've done better, bro.
You know, don't let them pressure you. Well,
Yeah.
keep it 1,000. Would it be Instagram or would it be the boyfriend?
Me?
Remember, 50K
Nah,
per year,
deadass.
5'8".
Long-term boyfriend.
Okay. All right.
Actually, a husband.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, she's doing good. She's
W.
doing good.
W.
All right. What about you, Mr. Troy?
That probably already knew, but Instagram.
What the fuck?
And then Novelas. What about you?
Instagram.
I would say Instagram. I haven't met or found a man yet that can give me what Instagram.
Oh,
So
Whoa!
Instagram.
What the fuck? Instagram, give me-
What the
Mine
fuck?
is red, though.
Yeah, this is why this show is necessary. Do you see how all these girls are in a relationship?
hey, this is crazy, chat. This is crazy how they value a website, just a website or a platform over a real personal connection. And I think to a majority of men that are just normal, they will take their woman over an Instagram because majority of men don't even like take Instagram serious. They got an Instagram, but they don't use it. Nobody give a fuck about that shit.
Relationship with Instagram instead of a real man. They're addicted to attention instead of love.
You know what it is?
Right.
Is that real men don't exist anymore.
that's exactly it.
That's what it is, right?
This man's a cuck. This man right here, Jadian's a cuck. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. What makes him a real man? The amount of money he makes, that doesn't make you a real man. What? What the fuck? They want a man that makes money. If they would have said a man that made 100,000, he said 50,000, they'd have made 100,000, they would have took the man. What the fuck, bro? That's just crazy.
Fucking, there's not guys out here that can take care of beautiful women anymore.
Yeah, I always say, listen, man. Just don't get married, man. Don't get married. I'm telling you, don't get married, man. Don't get married out here.
so they gotta take care of themselves. So I completely understand why you guys all picked Instagram. And for the ladies that are looking for a long-term boyfriend, I hope that comes for you someday. But I'm not gonna lie.
They don't even want it. They just said that they would take Instagram over a long-term boyfriend. They don't want a relationship.
Men are doomed.
Nah, yeah.
We are all doomed.
No, yeah. 2020 looking rough.
Okay.
It's 2022.
I thought the special guest was Gideon, not Walmart Lizzo and the white shirt.
Ha ha, that's a good one.
I'm dead. Chat, how y'all feel about that? That was some bullshit, man. That was some bullshit. These old out here wilding. Hey, yo, chat, like I've been telling y'all, listen, go follow me on Instagram at PACMANLIVEE. Pac-Man Live with 2 E's, man. Go follow me on Rumble, PAC203. I got a bunch of videos about to upload to Rumble, man. Bunch of crazy content. They flagged my video on YouTube. The one with Tate and Rumble talking about are they saying I have like a copyright claim because they was playing Offset's song in it, and they say they can't listen to that in like Bulgaria or Belarus and Russia. The fuck they give a fuck about that shit in Russia for? The fuck you even broadcasting shit in Russia? Ain't you supposed to be against them or something? What the fuck? Oh, shit be crazy. I don't know. Shit be crazy, chat. That let me know. I always think about doing some Omegle videos or some Omi TV videos asking about like random stuff. Y'all gotta let me know though. Chat, look at this. We ain't gonna get into this. But look at this. That's why I don't really be watching this shit too much. I watch this shit sometimes. How is H3 not permanent banned for this? You promoting people getting banned. Ain't this problem happen with Sneeko? You out here trying to promote people getting banned, bruh. That shit crazy. Go follow my Rumble. I've been telling y'all this. Go follow my Rumble. See my Rumble right here? Rumble right here. Follow it. Who's up here? Let's see Sneeko live. Sneeko's up here. Trump rally. These political stuff's up here be getting the most views. The Sneeko. I know y'all won't be watching Sneeko. Sneeko was live today. He did a 3-hour stream. How to view women. Let's see this chat. This is Iman Ghazi, man. I fuck with Iman Ghazi. I do a lot
started to dance.
I do a lot of reactions to this stuff on my other channel.
Where in 2011, when I was a teenager, I was going through a lot of changes with my.
I will get canceled for this.
There's a top secret undeclared war that is going on behind the scenes right now. You see, the last few weeks.
Now it's going on in front of us. We got it on the forefront. We talk about this stuff on my channel all the time. It's in front of us. It's not behind us. Or behind the scenes. It's not. Nah, we on to it.
I found myself investigating something way deeper than I ever would have imagined. You know that feeling when you see something happen in the media, a narrative spread, it's being perpetuated, and it just doesn't sit right with you. Something feels off. You know, as if there was some sort of, I don't know, agenda behind it? Well, that's exactly how I feel about this war against masculinity and freedom of speech that's really started to ramp up in the last few months especially. Recently it's gone so bad that it feels like they are trying to silence us by pushing so much BS down our throats that we nearly asphyxiate and aren't even capable of speaking anymore. And the worst part is all of these attacks seem so specific and coordinated that, you know, I can't help but feel that there may be a bigger story that's not being told. So I have had this fire inside of me recently to start searching for some answers. Why is there a war against people who speak up against the media's agenda and encourage people to think for themselves? Why is it that only one side of the argument gets silenced? And last,
That's a fact. I always listen, chat. Like the more you think about it, though, you go down this rabbit hole. And I know I'm very into Tate, into Sneeko. I'm into the red pill guys and stuff like that. Like I do red pill content. Like you find yourself going down this rabbit hole and realizing like the world is very dark. It's very dark, and it's very like there's so much Satanism behind like this the stuff. Yo, chat, it's crazy. I can't even stress it to y'all, man. On the way I view stuff, like it's crazy, man.
lastly, who is behind all of this? All of these questions led me down so many different rabbit holes, and the path that was the scariest was just looking back at the history of our civilization as a whole. And here's why. I found myself reading about the motives and end goals of the ancient Greek wars, the Roman civilization, all the way down to World War I and II. And I will say at first I thought I might have been exaggerating by comparing an actual war with guns and bombs and planes to a few social media cancellations and bans. But after really digging deep into the past,
this shit been happening since back in the day. Back in the day, man. I forgot the Greek guy's name they killed, or the Roman guy, I forgot the guy's name they killed for trying to talk to the youth. I think his name was like Zeus. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Chat, put it in the comments. Put it in the comments, man.
Wars the world has lived through, I have noticed that there is something truly nefarious going on. But what is it and why? What sparked every single one of those wars was the strive for control. It was not the strive for one nation to control another, or the strive of its people to control their land, but rather the strive of a very small group of individuals to control everything that they could put their hands on, and above all perpetuate such control for generations to come. From the Roman Wars to the Cold Wars, there was always a small group of people acting behind the scenes with their hidden motives masked behind false ideals. And that, my friends, is why I call them the puppet masters. Everything that happens around you is carefully planned by the puppet masters in control and executed by their puppets that we get to see around us. Now, most people would stop there, but I asked myself, is this really the final answer? The more I thought about this answer, the more questions I had. How do the puppet masters achieve control? And how have a few people managed to control an entire civilization through the course of history? And this is where things start to get very concerning. It'll be the end of our ability to question things and do what we believe is right for us.
You will go far down the rabbit hole. I'm telling y'all. The more and more like you realize the world is like, it's like this demonic place. I'm telling y'all guys, like it's sometimes you won't even be able to sleep at night, or you'll be overthinking while you're at work, or while you're doing stuff with your kid, or you're doing stuff with your family. The rabbit hole is crazy. You heard of it. The Roman War, the Greek War, World War I, World War II. Shit deeper than rap, man. I'm telling y'all.
And the people around us. And if we don't step up and stop this from happening, the next God knows how many centuries are not going to look very pretty for any of us. And that's because since your income doesn't grow linearly, as most people think, it means it will go up and down. And as a result, the closer your expense level is to your income level, the less room for error you have. And it's a very clever trap set up by the puppet masters themselves. Now, the fact is, we are in a situation today where the puppet masters are on the verge of successfully implementing their mass control plan. Long story short, the world is falling apart just as the puppet masters want it. Is that really?
That's why taxes go up as years and years go upon, or inflation rises years and years go on. I'm telling you the truth, man.
Not raise alarm bells for you? So you should have been building this moat, this layer of protection around yourself the last 2 years. But if you haven't done that yet, well, there's actually still one last light at the end of the tunnel.
Create social.
Chat, we're gonna watch a new video when it come out, man. Yeah, like y'all already know, man. This shit deeper than rap, though, man. I see y'all tomorrow, though, man. Y'all have a nice day.